people mess up is where I'm comparing my real life to someone's internet life.
I used to brag, like, I ain't spent no money this week. I used to be happy about it like that, like when I was coming up and saving money, but was I really happy? If you're not good up here psychologically, it doesn't even matter, right?
First question, so in terms of us young people, what is the biggest financial mistake we make as young people?
I think I can break this down into 3 parts. And the first one, and probably the biggest one, is really just lack of a plan. The second one I would think of is the ability to not go through delayed gratification. And the third is trying to keep up with the Joneses, right? And what I mean by lack of a plan is, everyone starts from a different starting line per se.
Sure.
Let's say that we're all ships, at a dock in a bay, right? You may have a bigger ship, you may have a smaller ship, you may have the ship that has the best engine to go the fastest. Your ship may have a better stern to go through the wind and go through the sea, all of those things.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day is, if you don't understand where you're going as the captain and you don't have an end destination, you don't have a map or a compass, what you'll end up is in the sea of regret. You can end up
A sea of debt.
A sea of regret, a sea of debt, and a sea of poverty at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So I think that's really important. And especially with younger people now, the delayed gratification thing is a big one. With Instagram now, we all follow each other.
Yeah.
We all follow a lot of other people and celebrities. And what it comes down to a lot of times is us looking at somebody living a different or a certain lifestyle. They may drive a different kind of car. They may live in a certain area. They may go to a lot of vacations during the year. And where people mess up is where I'm comparing my real life to someone's internet life, right? While I'm living on the day-to-day, I may be grinding, I may have goals and aspirations, but this person, it doesn't mean that they're necessarily financially able to do the things that they're doing. They could be broke for all we know, but we're comparing ourselves, and that's where people get left behind.
Yeah. So it was interesting because you talked about the biggest mistakes that people make financially, and correct me if I'm wrong, I didn't hear much about finance in that, right? Mm-hmm. That's a lot of mindset and decision making. But before we get on that, I would hear what do you think for young people, biggest mistake that we make financially?
I want to piggyback on what he said about the plan. Not having a plan is honestly a plan to fail. So that, and then I also want to second what he said about delayed gratification. That's like one of the biggest things that lead to success. Someone who can delay for the longest, withhold, within the storm or the rain. But I was gonna say too much debt. People get into too much debt. I know too many people with MBAs and who are unemployed. And it's sad to say that just because you have the degree doesn't mean you're gonna get the job or be able to pay it back. So I don't think any degree, any piece of paper is worth an astronomical amount of debt. Nothing is, because that's gonna hold you back. So I would rather, if you don't really want to go to college, it's okay. Go to trade school, start working, save some money, and then go. Don't just do it because, like he was saying, keeping up with the Joneses. All my friends are going to UT and Texas Tech and TCU, all right, but they know what they want to do, or their parents are helping them with this, and that's not your situation.
Yeah. So
you doing that and getting all this debt, now you got a degree you don't like, you're working in a job you don't like, and you have all this debt that you have to pay back.
Yeah.
That's real. That's really real. And it's like, once you get that debt, it's not easy to get rid of, right? No. It's easy to sign those signatures. It's easy to, get what you're trying to get up front, but long term, it's a lot harder to get rid of.
Yeah.
And I think if people really just understood, like I understand, right, where I'm at today is a pit stop and it's not the end destination.
Sure.
Right? The job I have, where I live, my social circle, all of those things this is not the end result where I'm going to be in the future.
Yeah.
And understanding and having a plan to get to where I want to be in the future is kind of what keeps your head level through those scenarios.
Yeah, let me ask you this. How did you make a plan? Think of your plan, so I'm coming to you, but how did you make your plan?
Sure. So I think really when it comes to myself, my plan was, okay, well, now I got a finance degree. Well, I want to go into investment management or money management, right? That was the first thing. So I'm like, how do I get in the door? I'm a person that comes from a very small town. Commerce, Texas, around 8,000 people. I don't have a lot of connections.
Yeah.
Don't have a whole lot of money. I don't know a lot of people in the industry. How can I get in? And it was, let's get an internship. Let's try to get in an intern somewhere. And the funny thing is I didn't have the best grades.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's even like another hindrance. But the mindset is that if you really want it, you know, there's always going to be opportunity out there to go and get it. So I ended up getting an internship with one firm. I worked there for 4 or 5 years after college, and then I got with the firm that I'm at right now. And at that point, through that whole process, what the mindset was I want to live well below my means in terms of if I'm making $10,000 a month, or if I have a bad month and I'm making $5,000 a month, I want to live on 50% of what I'm bringing in.
Yeah.
Right. And that gives me the ability and the flexibility to say, hey, I don't necessarily have to cram and scander for any in-month bills. You know, I don't have to have that pressure on me at the end of the day. And if worse comes to worse and I want to change careers, I can do that, right? Because I'm not stuck in a situation like you were saying with the debt. That's a big thing.
Yeah. What's your plan? I'm gonna come back to that frugality. You're already jumping ahead in the show notes, but I got you. What you got in terms of your plan that you made?
So for the plan, when I think of a plan, I think of a basically goal. Like, what do you want to achieve? And it's an acronym that I don't remember who the teacher taught me this, but it's called a SMART goal. So it has to be specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time bound.
Yeah.
So if you make a plan, make sure it hits all those. So yeah, that's what I would do when I make my plans.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I know for me personally, I have these brown journals that I order on Amazon. I got probably about 6 or 7 of them now, and I write my goal. At one point, I was writing them down every single day. Now it's maybe every 2 or 3 days, but literally, hey, how much money I want to make, how much I want the company to make, what type of car I want to drive, when I want to drive it by, and like it's as specific as I can get it.
Right.
And I think that's how you manifest it. Right, you got to put it down, and then a lot of times what I do with my goals is, okay, cool, I want to make $300,000 this year. Okay, we got to understand how much is that a month, how much is that a week. Okay, well, how many gigs I need to book this week to get there? You know what I mean? To be able to break it down. One of the things I thought that was interesting, you talked about frugal living, right? And that's one of the ways that you have been able to build your financial freedom, right, or your financial nimbleness, right? Because I don't know if y'all feel free yet. I ain't free just yet, right?
Free and nimble. I like
yeah. We getting nimble with it. You know, we getting nimble with it. Yeah. So I ain't just free just yet. Right. But I would ask you first, you know, how has frugality, if it has played a part in you being able to have some, you know, financial nimbleness?
So I'm a bit indifferent about the frugal lifestyle because I'll say it works. Don't get me wrong, it works. I used to brag, like, I ain't spend no money this week. I used to be happy about it like that, when I was coming up and saving money, but was I really happy? I wasn't as happy, like, you know, eating oodles and noodles. I wasn't really eating noodles, but like not eating out at the best restaurants or, you know, good restaurants that I want to. So like, I would say have a good balance between that, you know, treat yourself because you working hard and the money is good, but you can't take it with you. You know, if you die today, like, you ain't eat at Steak 48 once, you ain't never had a prime rib, like, dang, like are you really living? Like, so have a balance between reaching your goal.
What is your balance?
Having a plan, you know, like I was like, okay, boom, I went 2 weeks, I meal prepped, I didn't eat out, you know, stay disciplined. I'm gonna go out and eat, you know?
Yeah.
I'm gonna go have some fun. I'm gonna have that $100 fugu du chao or, you know, whatever. You know, I'm gonna go spend it just this one time. Okay. I ain't gonna look at the bill, you know? Yeah. I'm gonna enjoy myself for just that one time. Just so, you know, have that balance so I'm not just imprisoning myself too long.
No, I'm in agreement with that, and let me expand on that a little bit more. Like, what you mentioned, you make all this money, you save all this money, you can't take it with you, right? That is 100% true. I see a lot of people pass away with a whole lot of money a lot of times, right? And at the end of the day, my thoughts is did you even get to enjoy that, like you mentioned? So I think incorporating enjoying the journey, I think that's really what you're getting at, is learning how to enjoy the journey or the path that you're choosing, whether that be eating oodles and noodles or fuck up the child.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's finding a way to enjoy the journey, enjoy the path that you're on, and understanding that, okay, well, your plan is to go to X, you can spend money on Y, right, every Wednesday, all right? So I think that's really felt.
Yeah. I think for me, I really struggle with the balance part of it, right? Because I'm like, man, if I'm trying to get to X,
right,
I feel like I'm distracting myself by looking at Y. You know what I mean? So do y'all ever have that, like, I almost call it like productivity remorse or like spending remorse. Like, I'm gonna spend it, but then I'm gonna be remorseful about it. I'm like, dang, that ain't helping me get to that goal, right? So maybe I'm a little bit monomaniacal. I'm like, hey, if it ain't getting to this goal, why am I even doing it? Right. I don't know. What is y'all thoughts around that? Like, how do you have balance and not have any remorse there? Or maybe I'm just a little unforgiving to myself.
I think that there's not going to be, when I say balance and you think of a scale, it's never going to be 100% flat.
Yeah,
all the time, right? I know me, myself personally, I go through the same things where if it's not productive, and I do something unproductive and I have a certain goal, then I have remorse and I'm like, man, I shouldn't have went out tonight because I know I got this meeting tomorrow. I have this podcast to do.
Yeah.
And it's going to detract from that goal.
Yeah.
So I think depending on what area in the journey you are,
sure,
you may have the goal tilting more towards productivity, or you may have the goal tilting more towards leisure, right?
Yeah.
But you want to have the opportunity to have both. And then I think having friends and having people around you that can kind of pull you out of that sometimes, and support you is important as well.
I think that's great, because when I look at investments, we'll talk about that in a second, but you think about risk and reward. Mm-hmm. But for me to understand how much I want to risk, I have to understand my positioning at the moment. And I think that's kind of what you're saying, like how I'm a balance the scale this month is where you kind of position. I don't know if you had anything to add to that.
Yeah, I would just say it's really, what it comes down to is self-discipline.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's going to suck. Whatever you want to reach, whether it's lose 20 pounds, save 20,000, go on that trip, you're going to have to discipline yourself for a while. And I would say don't beat yourself up. At the end of it, like, enjoy it. And because I do that too. I'm like, man, why'd I buy those shoes?
Yeah.
Or why'd I, enjoy it,
Yeah.
You plan for it, get it, enjoy it.
Gotcha.
And you know what I started thinking about recently that helped me with that is I started thinking in context of future me and years of my life. So to make sense of that, so I'm planning a birthday party in December. I have a certain budget.
Yeah.
Speaking with the people that are going to be doing my services, like catering, the food, music, the bartender, all of those things, we're going a little over budget. And I'm thinking in my head, okay, well, I can negotiate and get down to where I want to be at. But in the back of my head as well is, okay, so I'm turning a certain age, I'm turning 30.
Yep.
I want this to be a great experience. Am I really going to care about this extra $200 in 5 years? And if that answer is no, then I'm going to go ahead and do it, right? Because I don't want to sacrifice necessarily that whole experience for something that's going to be irrelevant to me within 5 to 10 years, right?
Yeah. No, that makes sense. That makes sense. So one of the terms that get thrown around a lot is financial freedom, right? So I want to get y'all definition of financial freedom. In my opinion, my definition of financial freedom is the ability to spend, invest, make purchases, not without contemplation, but without contemplation of the price point, right? I think you're gonna contemplate like what house I'm gonna buy, right?
Sure.
But like the price point is not the contemplation point, right? So that's my definition of financial freedom. What would be you guys' definition of financial freedom?
Yeah, I think I'm right along the same lines as you in terms of price point. But as I mentioned earlier, I think also, and the reason I alluded to is the debt thing and making sure you're living below what you make. Because if you make $10,000 a month, but your actual needs are $9,999, let me tell you, that job has you like this.
Yeah.
You can't go anywhere. But if you do go somewhere, it's gonna hurt, right? You're gonna get evicted and whatever else it may be.
Yeah.
But when I think about it more holistically, it's the price points, like you mentioned, like going to the grocery store and not thinking about what brand you get. right? I'm gonna get the good juice now.
Get what you want.
You know,
You better get what you want. Yeah.
Great value.
Yeah.
But I still do love Walmart, So
Yeah, I still go to Walmart.
you get a haircut. You can get your tires changed.
Yeah.
Anything you want at Walmart.
Yeah. One-stop shop for real.
Right.
Financial freedom for me, I honestly think it's different for everyone because it depends on what kind of lifestyle you want to live. Like, if you're a simple man from Texas like me, like, let's say you own your own business, you own a convenience store, you make $60,000. You work when you want to, you got your employees, you're meeting all your overhead. That's financially free to me. You're making your own decisions. Your wife and children are good. You have a $529 for your child to go to school if they want to, or trade school if they want to. So for me, that's what financial freedom is to me, just being able to move how you want. You're not ever going to really be financially free because even think of it, is Elon Musk really financially free? He's he can be sued. Anyone can be sued. The more money you have, they're going to want to sue you.
Right.
And the more liable you are for your employees and so forth. So it's just being able to move the way you want to. Like, if you don't want to work today, you have that privilege not to work today.
Yeah. Do you feel that you're at that point?
Nah, not yet.
So what's the plan to get there for you personally?
The plan to get there, it has changed a little bit. So I think obviously living under your means, like you said, you have to live under your means, have that little buffer just in case something happens, invest. And you got to be a little risky, especially if you don't just have it already. If you need that, you need that 30%, gain 1 year or two. You can't just get the 6 or 9% that the S&P will give you. You got to speculate on something, right? Whatever that is. So that and honestly, whatever venture, be open. I would say early on in my career, I wasn't as open to hearing about new things that could potentially make money. We get, especially in finance, we're taught so much about fundamentals. I was just like that. The fundamentals don't always have to make sense because the times are changing, the investors are changing. The average investor is younger now than they were when we were learning all these things. Yeah. Everyone is not a Buffettist, and that's what we learned about. Honestly, we learned about Warren Buffett and Charles Dodd. I'm like, these guys are long. Well, Buffett is alive, but he's 90. He's older than my dad, and his mentor is dead. And these are the guys we're learning from. So, not to say that they were wrong; they were clearly right. Yeah. But the times are now much different that we're invested in than where they were invested in. Yeah. So we have to tweak it.
Yeah, I would say not to give financial advice, but you're talking to a young person, right? They want to get into investments. What are you saying to them? I think for me, the biggest thing I'm telling them is that it's not as hard as you think, and you can do it for free, right? Especially the old school. You're trying to buy a stock, a bond, or whatever, man. You go set up a Fidelity, Charles Schwab, TD, for free, trade for free on your phone, right now, as I'm talking to you. It ain't that hard. I don't know what to invest in. You got Nike shoes on, buy Nike stock, right? Or go buy index fund. It's not that hard. But I know you're talking about some more unproven or more speculative investments. What are you telling people if you're talking to a friend hey, maybe this is how you should start thinking about getting into investments?
Well, I would tell them do their research first.
Yeah.
And it is much easier now to invest. No commissions. Fractional shares, so you don't even have to buy a whole share. Yeah. You can, I think you just need $50 now, and you can start investing. So it's much easier now, but it's also harder to find value now.
Define that. What do you mean harder to find value?
I mean, the market is bigger now. There's it's really ran by a small group of firms, let's be honest, who have most of the money, right? Yeah. Who can pull the rug from under you at any point in time. Sure. So your $50 is not going to make a difference to their 50 million. Yeah. Or actually 50 billion. You know what I mean? That's
kind of small. Yeah, that.
They're just going to pull it out. So it's harder to just be like, I'm going to turn $50 into $500 now, right? Yeah. Or just, like you said, Nike, you're going to have to find something that no one is really thinking about, that you know something that you think you have an edge on. You're watching them very closely, and there's something that you believe that they have that is gonna produce value and they're gonna grow. The days of just, oh, I'm gonna put it in Apple and yeah, you'll make a little money here and there, but when Apple starts going down with the market,
Yeah.
and those big 3 firms who we won't name start pulling their money into other stuff,
Yeah.
your $50 is gone.
Yeah. So not to put words in your mouth, but you're looking for, God, I don't want to say the next big thing, but you are looking for an Uber or something like that you can kind of get into. Obviously, no matter how much money we got, we may not have enough to get in early. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like, we ain't got that type of money. We ain't no angel investor. Yeah, but you're talking about maybe trying to be a little ahead of the curve, finding the Snapchat, finding the Uber, that kind of what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Any thoughts? Hey, somebody coming to you, again, not giving them advice, but where could they start? Where did you start when it comes to trying to invest, make their money work for them?
Sure. I think a great way for people to start investing today, as Arise mentioned, is broad market indexes. I think that's the best way.
Tell me what that is, brother.
Just essentially owning the whole market, right?
Yeah.
There's these products out there called mutual funds and ETFs. And essentially what you can do for $50, you can literally buy the whole stock market, right? And you don't necessarily have to put in a whole lot of legwork to do it.
Yep.
And over time, I mean, the stock market, if you look at it, it's one of the most efficient vehicles to build wealth. It's long money, though. It's not going to come quick.
Yeah.
But if you consistently do it over time, compound interest is really a really beautiful thing.
Yeah.
I think that's somewhere where everybody can start. It's where I started, right? Where I still do a lot of that today.
Yeah.
Especially if you're like a busy professional. If you're, on the day-to-day, you're not necessarily going to have a lot of time to do a whole lot of market research in depth every single day.
Yeah.
So the way to save yourself from that is buy the whole thing. Historically, it goes up, right?
Yeah. You talk about investments, and you're around people who are making these investments, who are living lifestyles different than the people that we may have known growing up, whether it's East Texas, whether it's Houston, right? I would ask you, what are some of the biggest differences that you see in the individual that you may work with or get exposed to who have this wealth or this financial freedom versus the people that you grew up around? What are some of the differences that you guys see with those people?
I think if it comes down to 2 things, it'll be mindset, number 1, and then skill set, number 2. Mindset being, I have a destination I want to go to, and I have the mindset to get there, meaning, okay, I want to build wealth over time. And you have a process to do that, whether that be living below your means and investing in broad market indexes. But skill set is the other thing. I tell this to a lot of people. You can't save your way to being wealthy in terms of, you can't budget yourself to wealth. You have to have a skill that's going to put you in a position to where you can essentially live below your means. Whether that be, like a trade, as you mentioned earlier, whether that be, having a restaurant, whether that be having a lawn mowing service, whatever it may be, have some type of skill that's going to bring in enough income to where you're able to live below it.
Yeah.
Right. And then typically these people start really early doing that. They may have a business, they may even work part-time, whatever it is, but whatever they're doing, their lifestyle is this and their income is this. And then when they split it up of the 2 things, half of it's investing and half of it's fun money. Yeah. And over time, that's how people get there, as I see.
And real quick before we go on, you talked about when you were picking your major, you were like, all right, so I want to do something in finance. What's going to make me the most money? Mm-hmm. Like, what was that thought process like at 18? I don't know if you were thinking like that, but I wouldn't know. I want to play with these cameras. I wasn't even thinking about, average salary for a video editor is $42,000, and I'm going to spend $60,000 to get this paper to say I can do this when I could have done it on YouTube. Wasn't thinking like that. But you say, hey, I want this degree because this is going to pay me the most money. Sure. Where did that even come from?
I think it was more so, as I mentioned earlier, I come from a background where a whole lot of people don't have a whole lot of money. Yeah. And I've always wanted to, wear a nice suit every day and, kind of be on the James Bond type of looking vibe. But
okay.
All in all, when I look at everything, they said, finance majors typically make the most and they normally have the most interactions with people, which I preferred. So that's the route I went. And the thought process was, okay, well, what's going to take me out of my situation, right? What's going to put me on the path to where I got more options on my life down the line? And at the end of the day, that was finance. And there's different levels to finance. You don't have to be an investment manager. You can be on the business side, working in the back office, right? There's a lot of different ways that you can do it. But that was really my thought process behind it was, what's going to give me the most options down the line?
Yeah, but so it wasn't like a familiar influence. It wasn't parents, uncle, anything like that. It was like, hey, I see this situation. I want to do a different situation. So I know money going to give me that situation. That's kind of what it was?
I mean, my parents are social worker and in the education system. So
There ain't much money going around.
there's not much money to go around here. So it was more so, okay, I believe this major can put me in the best situation going forward.
Yeah.
Let's change something around.
Gotcha. And for you, what does the lifestyle differences look like from the people that you know that, hey, they got the financial freedom, they built the wealth, and those who, what we doing type thing?
So he, Spencer alluded to it earlier. I would say it's exposure. Like, when I used to work with clients, I would have little 16-year-olds calling for their parents' account that they would manage for them. Their parents would tell them, hey, play with this 5,000, see what you can do, right? Which is unheard of to me. Like, play with 5,000, Yeah. Well, so they get them started early. They teach them, this is what a stock is, this is what a bond is, read about this, see what you can figure out, and here's some money, play with it, see if you can make some money. So they get them started early to what the stock market is, how it's used, and what it can be used for. And I don't really see that a lot in our community. So the exposure is a big part.
Yeah. And I was going to say, and how do you get, people of color, younger people, whatever, lower socioeconomic status people, right? Want to be politically correct. How do you get those people that exposure? For me, like I do my professional speaking. I literally go and I've shaken hands with 2 billionaires, right? That's my flex. I want to go and tell you everything that I'll talk to about these 2 billionaires or this millionaire lawyer or this millionaire transportation guy. Everything that they told me, I want to come back and tell it to you, because you may not be able to get to them the way that I have just by being able to play with a camera, to have a skill set, to your point. But yeah, how can we get exposure to those people that don't have it?
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, a lot of that starts at home. Like with the mindset, like you mentioned, Rize, it's the mindset of even gifting. It can be as small as gifting, right? So if you think about having Christmas gifts and birthday gifts, if you just switch the mindset to, well, I'm going to create a custodial Roth for my son, or I'm going to create an investment brokerage account for my son. I'm going to give shares, early on to them. That's going to expose them very early to that. And the education system too, in terms of college. I think college was a big eye opener. It definitely peeled the blinders off of what's possible out there in different professions. I think that's very, very important. But I think it starts at home in terms of, what are you going to emphasize is important in the household?
Yeah.
And what, from a financial standpoint, are you going to educate your children about? Are you going to bring your kids into those budget conversations and say, hey, Tim and Sue, the bills are $3,000 a month. This is what I bring in. This is how we budget it. This is my 401ks, right? You got to get them started early to understand those types of things.
Yeah. And I think the biggest thing for me is the parents ain't even having those conversations, because they don't even know how to budget. They just, they drowning, bro. So I tell people, I tell people all the time, but I like to say on the podcast, you can't focus on thriving when you're not surviving.
Sure.
Right? You're literally not surviving. So I feel like a lot of times that given that the household can't do it, right, you got to get the knowledge from somewhere else. And man, YouTube, books, everything has made it a lot easier. But yeah, man, I think that's a tough thing. When do the parents even got a Roth? Do they even got a 401k? You know what I mean? Like
They may not.
Yeah.
They may not, right? And the sad thing about it all is the parents have to want to do it.
Yeah.
There are some that do, there are some that don't. But I think in today's day and age with technology and the internet, anything's available. YouTube, books, mentorship, all of those things to get the parents involved that are going to get that to the kids.
Yeah.
But you got to want it at the end of the day.
Yeah. Any thoughts on how to get others exposed to the things that you've been exposed to that maybe change your thinking around money?
So there was this story that I don't remember who exactly said it, but he was an affluent guy. He was like, I wanted my kids to understand how money works. So I think he gave them like $20, and he was just like, everything in this house is free, but this $20 is all you have anytime we leave the house. So I think they went somewhere, and they were like, Dad, I want that Coke. And he was like, all right, come on, let's go get it. And then he rang it up, and it was like $4 or $5. And the kid's like, oh, no, that's too expensive. You know, like,
Yeah.
And I was like, that's good. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because so it's just, you know, whatever way you can teach them that, oh, like, you know, there's an end to how much you can spend, or, you know, it's not infinite money. Like, it's just like, it's not a child's play here. But that story that I heard, I was like, man, that was good.
Yeah. Teach you the value of money.
Yeah.
Teach you the value of money. So I kind of stumbled upon the financial literacy stuff, or even the financial content, by happenstance. So I had a mention of car buying in one of my presentations. And man, like YouTube ate it up. They ate me up in the comments. Boys get so personal and so in their feelings about their car and what they drive. So I want to talk to us about vehicles, because I literally, when I say I had to buy a new car yesterday, it was used, wasn't it? I had to buy a new car. It's new to me.
Don't judge.
I had to buy I'm judging big time. I had to buy a new car yesterday, bro. ABS was gone. Check engine light came on. Like, I was scared to put the sucker on the freeway the last 2 weeks, and anyway, so I had a new car yesterday. So I want to talk to y'all. What type of cars do you drive, and what's the importance of managing? You talk about delayed gratification, right? I think the two things that can kill your financial wellness is where you live and what you drive. So I want to talk about that for a second. What you drive, why?
Okay. So I drive a Honda Accord, and the reason why I drive the Honda Accord is I think I was indoctrinated in school. I don't know if you remember the policy class we took, and it's a recurring theme that they always told us about car dealerships and how car dealerships don't really make money off the car. They make money off the interest of the car, and you know, getting you to trade in and this, that, and the third, and that cars are depreciating assets and blah, blah, blah. And they just beat it into my head. I was like, yeah, I never want to get a car note, never want to get a car note. And then anomalies happen like COVID, where if you bought a car before COVID, you could have sold it right after COVID and made some money.
Yeah.
So it's just things like that. I'm just like, you know, man, because I remember I was honestly looking at cars, and Jonathan remembers this too. I was looking at cars before COVID, and the cars I was looking at before COVID, and then after, it was just like, I would have made $10,000 and been able to drive it for a year.
Yep.
So I was like, man. Over time, obviously, it's going to average back out to being a depreciating asset, but it's just things like that. It's just, you never really know, right? History is history, but anything can change, right? Systems can fall apart, and a depreciating asset can become valuable now, given how systems, you know, if the system falls apart, it becomes more valuable because there's less around.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I drive a Honda Accord because I was indoctrinated that never buy a car, never sign the car note, and, you know, it's right most of the time, but when it's wrong, it's just, you know, it's wrong.
Yeah. What about you? What you driving, brother?
So I got a Volkswagen.
Okay.
And it's funny enough, you mentioned your car, you know, going bad on you.
Yeah.
I had a truck around 288,000 miles.
200, how much?
88.
I had 283.
Oh, okay.
283,000
Got to
yesterday.
be barely.
283,000, bro. I was trying to get to 300. I'm trying, bro.
But at that level, I mean, you breaking down every other day, the lights are on, all of these things. So I'm like, I need to give it and get a car.
Yeah.
Right. So I got the Volkswagen because number one, it's reliable, it's relatively inexpensive, and very economical. Yeah. So love that for myself. But in terms of ways that I see people kind of mishap the car situation, is only focusing on the payment, like you mentioned. Hey, the payment is $200 a month. I can afford this, but what you're not considering a lot of time is the interest rate you got, the maintenance schedule, and the insurance. And insurance is a big thing, especially if you're young and you got a two-door Mustang. Yeah. Right? That can be a big, big deal. So I would say considering your all-in cost to the car, that being the car payment, the insurance, and the maintenance, that's your actual budget of what you can find.
Yeah.
And I want to caveat to that, there's nothing wrong with having a nice car, as long as you're in a position to where you can actually afford it. I plan personally on a Ferrari one day.
Yeah.
Not sad to say it. Been saying that since I was probably like 8 years old.
Yeah.
So I plan to do that.
Yeah. Now I want a Porsche. What you want, brother?
I want a McLaren.
There you go.
Yeah.
I'm taking the Porsche on the track against the McLaren and the Ferrari, but that's just me.
I've done that before, by the way. Ferrari's the fastest. Just saying.
No, see, I want to go on a tangent. If the track make turns, I'm gonna still take the Porsche.
I drove in both a Porsche GT, the highest one, and a 488 piece to Ferrari. Yeah, I can show you the video later.
I'm gonna still take the Porsche. But I'm team Volkswagen now. I just got a Volkswagen.
Oh, you did? Welcome, my brother.
Yeah,
Welcome, my brother.
I'm team Volkswagen.
Oil changes every 10,000 miles. That's all you got.
Yeah, that's what he was telling me,
Yeah.
which is wild. And I'm like, bro,
wild.
I'm changing every 3,000-4,000 in the Ford, man. So
But when you pull up, it's $100. Know that?
I was putting 4 cents in. I'm paying $89.99 every 3,000. So hey, $100 for every 10,000. That's like a good deal to me.
Okay.
Yeah, nah, that ain't bad at all. Ain't bad at all. In terms of where you stay, right? Like I said, I think the two biggest expenses for most part, if you got a car note, gonna be your car note and it's gonna be your rent.
Sure.
Is it the same thought process there as a, hey, delayed gratification, living below my means? What's the thought process when it's like, hey, controlling my living expenses? I know we 30 now, right? But from the age of 18 to 26, I had roommates. 18 to 27, 9 years, roommates that never paid more than $565 a month for rent or something like that. You can imagine the amount of bread you can save when you're paying $600 a month in rent. So what's in y'all thought process around controlling where you live?
I think that's a very important factor as well. And what I always tell people is that owning a home is a lifestyle decision. It's not an investment decision. If you really think about a house, right? You want to make memories there. If you want to have kids or you don't want to have kids, you want to have certain tradition in a lifestyle that you want to have in that home, but understand it's not going to be an investment for you long term. The reason being is if you look at a home, let's say you buy a home for $300,000 and you get a
Nah, for real.
not in North Dallas. Not in North Dallas.
Where?
We can use whatever price point you want to use. You get $500,000, $600,000. You know, you buy a $500,000 house and you get a 30-year mortgage at 8%. At the end of that 30 years, you've paid more than the principal on that house in interest, right? That's how you think about it.
Yeah.
Especially with the maintenance costs as well. So just understand that you don't have to keep up with everybody if your friends are getting a house. You know, living in an apartment is fine, right? Let the lawn guys cut your lawn. You know, let your trash get taken out.
Yeah.
Let the maintenance come in and fix your sink, right? You don't have to deal with those things in the apartment. But if you do want to get a home, just understand the expense of it, right? And think you mentioned this earlier, but you know the kind of fast track that they put us on in terms of you need to have a house, you need to have kids, you need to live in this area, you need to have this job, you need to live in this certain way to fit into society, right? And what's the actual choice behind it? And I believe at the end of the day, just understanding that you have a choice is the biggest thing, right? You know, as a human, if I'm willing to put in the work, if I have a plan, if I'm willing to pay the price, at the end of the day, I can be whatever I want to be, and I can live whatever lifestyle I want to live as long as I'm willing to pay the cost of that, right?
Yeah.
If you look around the world at different organisms, you know, humans versus a tree can only be a tree, a fish can only be a fish and swim, right? But as a human, you got unlimited possibilities if you're willing to put in the work to do that. So I think that's a very powerful thing.
Yeah, you mentioned a lot there. So we are all approaching 30. I think I'm the only one that's 30. You haven't turned 30 yet, right? Yeah. I know you in December. So we're going to call them. Y'all in the same club. We all 30, right? So we all 30. To my knowledge, we all rent, right? Mm-hmm. We got Team Volkswagen, and then we got Team Honda over there. It's cool. But ain't no Mercedes, ain't no Land Rovers, ain't no Lexus, none of that. And then to my knowledge, we're all renting, and then none of us have kids, right? Like, I think some of those decisions that we all have in common without even knowing it, right? Mm-hmm. I think that allows you to be able to have that financial nimbleness. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that, right? To sit at the table with 3 men, no kids, still renting, but have the ability to go buy the house if we want to.
Right.
And, no luxury car. Again, Volkswagen almost.
Hey,
Right? It's like a
flex.
yeah.
It's on the cuffs.
On the cusp, it's a lower level Acura. Volkswagen's a lower level Audi, like it's almost there. But
Flex.
yeah.
But I think the answer to that question would be the same. It's just understanding that you have a choice and you don't have to do what society's telling you to do.
Yeah.
Right. And I think a lot of young people are definitely indoctrinated into, living a certain lifestyle, doing certain things. So understand that you have the power to change the situation and, do different things. I think is very, 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 very positive to know.
Yeah. So I was probably like big on the whole, don't buy the car, don't buy the house, like don't live past your means, like save all your money. But the older I get, I realize that balance aspect is so much more important. So let's say you have roommates, right? But your roommate, like, they're your friends and it's cutting into your relationship, right? Or you're miserable because you have roommates because it's so noisy and you can't handle your business. Go pay that extra $500 and get your own space if it's gonna make you happy. Nothing is worth your peace of mind.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at with it. Like, saving money is great.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this. I didn't want to cut you off, but like, what do you think made that mindset shift? Because for me, like, when the 3 is the first digit of your age, I'm like, bro, I need to go harder now, like, because it ain't no smart now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, but what's been your change from Mr. Frugal to like Mr. Balance?
It's just thinking critically. It's just listening and being like to older people.
Yeah.
When you're older, you're not gonna. Yeah, you're gonna want more money. Clearly, when you're older, you're not gonna be able. You want to have that nest egg, but if you're not good up here psychologically, it doesn't even matter, right? And then there was a famous quote I heard. It was this investment banker who got rich who didn't come from money, and he was buying his parents a crib, right? And he was taking his parents shopping. And he said, you know what, I'm just gonna decorate the place for my parents, because if I take them out, they're gonna be arguing about how much everything costs instead of how this art is gonna make me feel when I look at it. And I was like, dang. I was like, that's deep. Like, if everything is about, oh, how much does this cost? You're not really experiencing, like, does this make me feel good? Does this jacket, does this polyester, is polyester better than cotton, or is cotton better than linen? Like, it makes you feel a certain way. Steve Harvey also said, if you can't afford to fly first class, I would recommend you fly first class at least once. Just once, just to try it out if you can.
Yeah,
because it makes you feel some type of way and it keeps you working hard.
No, I agree with that. And it's kind of like the chicken and the egg thing, right? Because you want the options. You saying, hey, go and treat yourself to the options. But I think you got to have the frugalness to be able to save and invest your way to the options,
Balance.
right?
Yeah.
And, yeah, but like, okay, so in the balance, which one? I don't even know if it's which one comes first, right? I'm just trying to figure out. Well, I'll ask you this: what is your definition of balance? And how do you know when you're in balance as a person who struggles with balance, right?
Okay, so let's say my rent is $1,000, which is cheap, right? And let's say I make $50,000 a year, right? So that's already 12, already gone from the 50, right? Which leaves me, I'm not great at math. What does that leave?
38.
All right, so 38.
Put my calculator right quick. Right?
Yeah. Then no one's gonna listen to the podcast. No,
It's like, oh,
it's 50, it's 30.
like,
Yeah, all credibility. No.
So let's say that, and then you got a car note, right? Let's say that's, I don't know how much a car note costs because I'm against those. Let's say that's,
say your car costs what, like $10,000 a year or something like that.
boom, taking that $10,000 off that, right? You're budgeting all these things, right? Should you go, so that leaves you what after the 10, so 28, right?
28.
Boom. Let's think about taxes and, you're having fun, enjoyment, life is about enjoying. So let's say you have, after that, maybe 5 to splurge, right? You have to ask yourself, one, what does your career trajectory look like, right? If you're a teacher, you should know that teachers don't make a lot, right?
Yeah.
So you're really in a box of how much you're gonna make. So you probably shouldn't do anything foolish with your extra money. Maybe go on a small cruise, which are fun. I like cruises, right?
Yeah.
But they're affordable, right? But if you have a career trajectory that goes like this, it's more linear, right? You go, all right, I'm 25, 20, whatever age, just started your career. I'm gonna take this, and maybe if I'm being responsible, I'll put it in a Roth, right? Which you can't just pull out in willy-nilly, right? Without penalties. So you think about that as well. Or you might say, I might go experience the world. I want to go see, I don't know, Bangkok or something, right? Because it's going to make me feel good. It's going to make me work harder to get to that 6-figure salary, right? So it's just like being in balance, knowing what your situation is, what it could be, right? Like if you're a teacher, no, like I got to, I'm not going to probably make over $80,000 a year. So I should just compose myself and take the smaller trip.
Yeah, and I think for me the biggest thing is, because you talked about the and I don't want to improperly quote you, so if I'm wrong, correct me. But from what I'm hearing, it sounded like treat yourself, do the things that's gonna make you feel good. If the full cotton makes you feel better over the polyester, get the full cotton, get the art on the wall. I think for me, just my background, where I come from, my family, the people that I was around, appeal to their lower level self so often to treat themselves, to get that car, to get that ring, to get that shoe, to get that TV, to get this, to get that, mostly because they were probably filling the void and masking something, but that's a different episode, right? But they were doing so much and making so many negative money decisions to feel good that I'm almost like, now we gotta get the money right to feel good, right? Because if we go out there and get the cotton instead of polyester, we can only afford the polyester. That short-term feeling of the cotton is going to be gone. It's fleeting, in my opinion, right? I don't know. It's maybe just me, but I ain't never looked at my brokerage account, and it was a couple times you felt bad, but that's a different reason when you feel bad, right? But I ain't never looked at my brokerage account and was like, dang, I regret investing that. But I have bought stuff. I have bought those $500 shoes on eBay and was like, you know what? Yeah, that was impulsive buying, and I have buyer's remorse. And so I think that's what my struggle is, because I've seen so much appealing to that lower level self that I'm like all in on appealing to that higher level self, because I've seen the results of appealing to that lower level self, right? Seeing the way that my family lives, seeing the way these people live, and I'm like, you know what? I don't want to live like that. So I appeal to this higher level self in hopes that that's going to give me a different outcome. I ain't been exposed to enough people, been around enough people, have a long enough trajectory to know what those fruits are going to look like. But I know what those fruits look like, and I don't want those. So I think that's kind of where I'm coming from.
Sure. No, I definitely can be in agreement with that, simply because your environment does have an effect on you, but your environment doesn't necessarily have to dictate your choices and where you're going to go in the future, right? I think that's a big thing, which I'm super proud to hear that, man.
Yeah.
Great to be your friend. But one thing that I would say is, in terms of just talking to enough people and getting in those rooms, is the person that you want to be or who you're aspiring to be. I mean, that person is already out there, right? The human race has been alive so long that whatever you're trying to do right now, whatever complications you're having in your life, whatever you're trying to get through, whether it be job, family, whatever it may be, there's a solution out there. Mm-hmm. So, you're not necessarily alone. You just have to put forth the effort to find the solution, right?
But I would just say, like, wow, why would you have buyer's remorse? Like, if you thought out a purchase, or is it because you didn't think it out that you have buyer's remorse?
That's a good question. That's a good question.
Because when I have remorse, it's usually when I do stuff that I didn't think out. I go to the bar, I'm risen. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good. You know, I'm feeling good.
They turn
Oh yeah, that big flow. And then the credit bill comes out. I'm like, man, I'm milking a bad after that. You know, in the moment I felt good. Everything felt good. When I looked at the credit card statement, I'm like, oh man.
Yeah.
That's usually when I feel bad. But things that I plan out, like, you know, I don't really feel bad after, you know, if it's thought out.
Yeah, no, and I think it's probably that, because it's not too many, in my opinion, it's not too many times if I go, I use shoes, I'm a shoe guy, right? It's not too many times I go and spend $400 on shoes that is well thought out.
I'm in my head. I was thinking, what are you buying that's $400? That's a Nike.
Oh, bro, it'd be the market. Oh, that's it'd be the markup, right?
Okay.
But I think that's probably what gets me more than anything else. Now, if it's something that's gonna make me money, if it's a camera, if it's a computer part or whatever, I'll blow the bank.
Yeah.
Blow the bank, because I know it's gonna make me money, right? But when it comes down, I guess, treating yourself, I feel like that the decisions to spend money when you're treating yourself is so convoluted with them feelings that it makes it hard to not have a survivor's remorse afterwards, just knowing the baggage that I have of seeing what, you know, mama, sister, grandma did, right? Was they were treating themselves in the financial predicament that they put themselves in. And so I think it's the emotional baggage, not the emotion, just the family baggage mixed with the fact that I know when I'm on eBay about to click buy, this is a convoluted choice. Right, even if I thought it out, even if I had the money in the account, right, it's still a completely convoluted choice. I think that's kind of where I'm at with it, man. Yeah. No thoughts.
No, that makes sense. That makes sense. But it's just like, you shouldn't feel bad if you worked for it.
Yeah.
You earned it. Yeah, I get that everyone doesn't have it, right? I remember when my parents bought me a car, my first car in high school, they bought me a Ford Escape, and I wanted, like, I think a Mustang or something.
Yeah.
Classic.
Yeah.
Wasn't paying that insurance.
Yeah, and they were like, you know, some people don't even have cars. And I was like, well, some people have Mercedes. You know? I hit it with that. Like, yeah, you got to think about that. Like, yeah, there's always people that have less, but there's people that have more, so don't feel bad.
Yeah,
you know, especially if you work for it. And obviously, I got smacked. But
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I was just like, well, somebody has this, but like, yeah. So I wouldn't feel bad. Those spontaneous buys, though, I do feel bad.
Them impulsive buys.
Impulsive ones.
Where your friends are hyping you up.
Yeah. And you get the bill, you like, man, I should like look at that. But I think in terms of like kind of how your mindset is, the past you have, and splurging on yourself, I think also understand that, you know, if you enjoy the process of building a business and accumulating wealth more, that's fine. You don't have to splurge on yourself, right? There are some people that work 6-7 days a week and they're happy. You know, they never take a vacation. Just because they're built like that and they have different ideals, right? So it's okay to not do that, do those things. But if you do want to do those things and enjoy yourself, do them, you know, and feel okay about it.
Yeah. I think it comes down to we started the episode out talking about just having a plan, right? Alex Hermosi, y'all heard of Alex Hermosi?
Yeah.
He's like a big
Yeah.
element guy, real swole.
Yeah, me wearing tank top.
Yeah, tank top, so they got the HGH going. But he said, you know, people are like, well, why do you do this? He's like, I want to live an extraordinary life. That's why I do this, right? So if you want to live this life, then you do one and you get this result, right? But if you want to live this life, you got to do two to get this result. So I think it comes down to knowing results you want, and then you got to put the inputs in to get the results.
Absolutely. Cool. Like working with people that may not have budgeted and came into some money and seeing how they're now cash strapped with debt, whatever it may be. I mean, I've worked with people, this was way back, years back, but, you know, individuals, you know, they live in Uptown, you know, they making $60,000 now. They done bought a Range Rover, they done got 2 dogs, right? And you know, they budget, they negative every month. They're like, how do I get out of this?
Yeah.
Like, you know, you're going to have to trade that car in and move a little somewhere else, you know? And, you know, that's a hard conversation to have. So,
yeah, absolutely. Dogs are expensive, like, especially if they got one of those Yorkies
and Frenchie things.
Yeah.
Costs a lot.
For sure. Well, this is, even though this wasn't really the podcast, we was having a financial, you know, fireside chat, but the name of the podcast is The Secrets of Silent Success. So I would ask each of you, what's been your secret to success?
I think my secret of success is just mindset mentality of trying to build over time. Like just understanding that I want to get to X in the future. This is what it's going to take. Does that mean I may have to live below my means? Yes. Does that mean I may have to sacrifice every now and again? Yes. But understanding that along the journey, right, this is the end goal that I want. Right.
I would say the secret to success is emotional intelligence. It's the one thing that everyone can grow. You're not gonna have a 140 IQ score like who was it, Einstein who had it or whoever. Yeah. But your emotional intelligence can honestly get better with time, whoever you are. So that's something that you can actually work on.
Sure.
Yeah. On step. I appreciate y'all, man.
Sure.
Till next time, brother. I appreciate y'all.
So what would, I guess the last question is, I'm going to pose this to you. What would be your definition of success then? Like if you're going to around, like, hey, what would make somebody successful?
What makes someone successful? Yeah. I think it comes back to the first part of it is going to be my financial freedom answer. To be able to select my options without contemplation, right? I think that's number one, to be able to select my options without contemplation. And my next one would be enjoying the journey that you're on.
Sure.
Because I don't think for me, I don't even want to reach the goal, right? I want to get up every day and enjoy the goal that I'm going after. And as I said previously in the episode, I feel like a lot of times growing up, the goals that people were chasing was just survival. That don't make me feel good. I don't want to get up and chase survival. I want to get up and chase thriving. Or I want to get up and chase the Porsche. If you want to put a material, name on it, I want to get up and chase the Porsche. That feels good. I'm going to get the Porsche. I'm going to park it in the garage next to the Volkswagen and go and chase something else. Right? And that's what keeps you going. That's what puts the smile on your face. And I think that's will be my definition of success.
Sure.
Yeah.
I like the fact that you kept the Volkswagen so you could save on gas.
Gas, the Porsche on the side.
You don't want to go on a road trip in the Porsche.
It's raining and the Porsche ain't coming out of the garage. You know what I'm saying? So now you got to keep them. I would have kept the Ford if she didn't die on me. Like I wouldn't claim to ever get rid of the Ford.
I'm daily driving a Ferrari. Forget it.
You said what?
I said I'm daily driving a Ferrari, top down in the winter. Let's go.
You build
the maintenance on that.
Oh, it's wild.
Yeah. You build different.